Hello, this is Lynn from Farmer Street Pantry, and welcome to this week's edition of Food Talk Live. We're so happy that you could join us, and we have a special guest today that's very important, near and dear to our business. So when we started Farmer Street Pantry, we really wanted to use local ingredients in our products, and we focus on orchard fruit products, as you may know, and because we have a terrific region for orchards. But we also have a great region for maple syrup. In fact, I think it's the best region for maple syrup. I've tasted maple syrup from Canada. I've tasted it from New England. But there is nothing that tastes as good as maple syrup from Central New York. And I think the epicenter of that is located in Tully, and that is where our guest today, Christy Williams of Dutch Hill Maple, comes from. So, Christy, welcome, and thank you so much for being on Food Talk Live today.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yes, so we, as I said, we live in a great maple nation, as some people call it. And Dutch Hill Maple has several generations working in it. So you have, let's see, you have maple syrup. I've got just a little gallon of your maple syrup. But when we buy it from you, we buy it gallons, and we also have been buying carboys. And you also make maple sugar as well. And you have a lot of other great products too. Barbecue sauce, maple cream, maple cotton candy, just really terrific stuff. So I wanted to invite you here today so that you could talk a little bit about your business and how things have been changing and growing. So some of our products that use your maple syrup are applesauce, our mincemeat, and salad dressing, lemon turmeric, and then also our spiced cherries as well. So Christy, if you could just give us a little bit of a backstory on how Dutch Hill Maple got started, the local history, and where you're located, the size of your operation, that kind of thing.
Sure. So Dutch Hill Maple began in 1968. It was actually my father-in-law who started making maple syrup, just as kind of a, hey, let's try this thing out in our backyard type of thing. He had just a handful of trees, about 15, that he had on buckets. And really that kind of started the love of making maple syrup each year. So my husband grew up around making maple syrup. It became a tradition of their family. And let's see, it was 2014, we decided, I was in the picture by then. I married into the sweet life. But by 2014, we decided we wanted to become more a part of the family business and grow it. So we actually purchased property in Tully over the hill from the sugar house, where we added more taps. We actually added another parcel to it just last year, expanded even more. We've been very fortunate to be able to do that. And so we went from 15 taps in 1968, and we've grown to about 7,500 in 2020.
Wow. Oh my gosh. So how many acres is that then?
So that's a question we get often, and a question that is kind of tough because we're kind of a little all over. We lease some property as well as own some property. So I would say with everything combined, it's probably a couple hundred acres that we manage. And that is our sugar house that you're seeing on a much different day than today. There's a lot of snow there. It was a very cold day, but it was beautiful. And when we're making maple syrup, that's usually what it looks like. It's usually February, March, April time. So we do get some warm days, but a lot of the time it's snow, and we're using snowshoes to go through the woods. When I say we, it's really my husband and father-in-law. I get the easy job inside. And that picture of our woods was actually taken just this past weekend. It was just so beautiful up there with all of the greenery, and you can see our green tubing stretching through there. One question we get a lot is, do we take our tubing down each year? Thankfully, the answer is no, because it's quite a project to put it up, and we have miles and miles and miles of it. So trying to store that, and then, like I said, put it up and down every year would be crazy. Tubing. So another thing that I'll mention is, some people use buckets, some people use tubing. There's nothing wrong with either. We're spread out quite a bit with, like I said, about 7,500 trees. So the tubing is a better option for us, and also allows us to use a vacuum system. So all of that tubing is connected to the trees. By using a vacuum, it helps us pull out the sap a little bit, so we get even more to make into maple syrup. One thing I'm not sure, I don't remember if I mentioned, but Lynn did. We are in Tully. And as I said, my father-in-law started it, and then the second generation got into it. We do a third generation, just a little one right now, but she loves to help, and we have another one on the way. And the reason I bring that up is because that last picture that Lynn showed was when we were all walking through the woods, even the little one, looking for any issues with the tubing, because a lot of times limbs will come down. Animals will actually chew on it, and we have to make repairs. So we get everyone involved for that.
You were talking about the tubing and the vacuum.
Yep. And just kind of mentions that, we're multi-generational, getting the newer generation in, and how much she loves the help and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes. Kinsley. Okay,
Yep.
hopefully this will work. Here's a photo of you and Nate.
Yep.
Outside of the sugar house. So what's your production annually, would you say?
So this past season, we made just over 4,000 gallons, which is our record for us. But like I mentioned earlier, we've been fortunate to expand. Really, I would say it was every single year since we bought our property, we've been able to expand a little bit. So the trend is that we've been going up, which is great. And like I said, this past season was about 4,000 gallons.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Okay. And what's the range in terms of where you're selling, how you're selling? What's your best market? Are you online quite a bit? Are you at local markets? Are you in stores? What are you doing?
So my answer to what our best market is probably different this year than it would have been any other year. Things are a lot different. So to answer your first question, we're kind of across the board with that stuff on a normal day. We do farmers markets, we do events. Fortunately, a lot of them are canceled this year. We are in quite a few Central New York stores. Apple orchards. Actually, there's a store in the mall, some different grocery stores, stuff like that. But our biggest thing right now is our online sales, which they've definitely increased with the pandemic and everything. Obviously, people don't necessarily want to go out as much. They're a little nervous, which is understandable. And so we're shipping right to them, or we can have them pick up at our sugar house.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so that it's DutchHillMaple.com. They have a great website, a great shop on your site, and also great education page too. It's really fun to see how you describe how to produce maple syrup. It's really terrific. So time to brag a little bit, I think. What happened at the New York State Fair the last couple of years?
So we actually were surprised and not expecting it, but for the past 3 years in a row, we've won grand champion at the New York State Fair for our syrup, which is very, very exciting. The first year was, we couldn't believe it, but then the next year we were like, oh my gosh, no way. And then last year, it would have been the third year, and we thought, no way for sure. There's just no way we would get a third year, but we were surprised to see that picture right in front of you. That was very exciting.
That's great. And how many maple producers are there in New York State? Do you know?
There's a lot more than what I'm going to tell you right now. But I actually work with the New York State Maple Association quite a bit. And so as far as members go, there's probably close to about 700 members in the association. However, there's more producers than that might not be aware of the association or members quite yet. So it's a big, New York's a big maple producing state.
Right. And it's second to Canada. Is it ahead of Vermont?
Not quite, but we're getting there.
And can you answer the question why the syrup is so delicious coming out of Tully, New York?
Well, we definitely add love. Besides that, we have a great, we have just great environmental factors that play into it. So we're lucky with what we've been given, I guess.
Yeah, no, it's great. And the sugar bush is beautiful. And so talk a little bit about Maple Weekend.
Okay, so Maple Weekend is our baby. We started probably 5 years ago doing an open house at our sugar house. And this is actually a statewide event for any maple producers who are part of the Maple Association and want to participate and open their doors. It's an agritourism event, so like I said, an open house, but at the same time, we usually do horse-drawn wagon rides, tours, we've got food, all kinds of fun stuff. It's so exciting to us to be able to share what we do and just educate the public who, a lot of people who have never been into a sugar house, maybe even never tasted real maple syrup, and most people haven't been into a sugar bush. So to take them into the woods and see them where it really starts, or to see sap coming in, how quickly it can come in, that's my favorite part. So we're definitely big on the education part of it. And unfortunately, we had to cancel Maple Weekend this year, which was a big bummer. But next year, we're really going to bring the fun.
Yeah. And when should people be looking for Maple Weekend?
So it's usually the last 2 weekends of March. If you follow us on Facebook or even visit our website, I usually start posting stuff at the beginning of the year just to get people kind of saving the date.
Yeah. And how many visitors did Dutch Hill Maple have the last year for Maple Weekend? Did you count?
No, we have a hard time with that. We want to count, but we haven't come up with a good way to do it. So if anybody has any ideas, we're definitely open to them. But we definitely have, each year it grows. And it was so fun because, for us, we look at it each year and we see the changes and we see the growth. In this 2019, our last one, we had a moment where I literally just stopped for a second and looked at everything going on. We had a news film or a news crew that came in to do an interview at this moment. We had a full parking lot with people parking on the road. It was great. The horses were coming in. It was so exciting.
It sounds like it. I've gone the year before last year I went, and the look on kids' faces, they are just enthralled by the whole thing. And the adults too. I mean, everybody, it's so great. And that winter is kind of winding down, but there's still some snow and it smells delicious. Oh my gosh, you walk in and you've got hot cider with maple syrup in it and all kinds of products, donuts. It's so great. It's a wonderful experience. It's wonderful for any age group. A lot of fun. And then to get to see be exactly in the spot where it's made, where it comes from nature is just very wonderful. So it highly recommended experience. Chrissy, can you talk a little bit about your products?
Sure. So as you mentioned, we have maple syrup, obviously. We have multiple grades of maple syrup. So there's actually 4 grades. There's golden, amber, dark, and very dark. We don't typically get much very dark just because of what Mother Nature throws at us. But basically, the darker you go, you get a slightly more robust maple flavor. That picture right up there shows a dark maple syrup. So that's our regular maple syrup. Then we have bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup, which is a fan favorite, and that's probably one of our most popular gift items. But basically, we take our syrup and age it in bourbon barrels for at least 6 months. We actually had some that was aging for more like a year, so it was fantastic. We don't add any alcohol to it, but it takes on a little of that bourbon flavor, which to me makes it taste like a dessert type of item. It's great on ice cream, oatmeal. You can put it on meat. It's fantastic. We also have some infused syrups. We have cinnamon, vanilla, and coffee infused, kind of a limited time thing. Then we have our maple candy, cream, granulated maple sugar, barbecue sauce, maple seasoning, maple cotton.
Wow.
I think that might be it.
Yes. So I really recommend go to the website, DutchHillMaple.com, and you'll get to see all of those amazing products made with some really delicious maple syrup. And it seems as though you're always open to new ideas for new products. So I'm really looking forward to what might be coming down the pike. Now, you mentioned the different grades. Can you talk a little bit more about that? For example, I have this gallon has a couple of labels on it. Somehow I switched lids, apparently. But this is what is this label? And then what is the darker label? Can you talk about the difference between the grades a little bit more?
So on your jug, you usually get our golden syrup, if I remember correctly.
Right.
So that's what that yellow sticker is for. On top, I don't know why there's two, like you said. I think a label got switched, but the top says
amber.
Amber. Okay, so that's amber. Our like mid grade. So we sell golden, amber, and dark. And like I said, the darker you go, you get a slightly more robust maple flavor. Mm-hmm. But you also, if you were to visit our sugar house during the season, we have a sample for each batch that we do, and it's a clear sample, glass jar, so you can see the color of each batch. And you can see that it changes throughout the season. We typically start with a golden, and then as the season progresses, it gets a little bit darker. And that's one of my favorite things to show people too, because you can really see how it changes. And weather is a big determining factor of that. So like I said, Mother Nature, it's all up to her.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, it's stunning. It really is. So how was this year's, what does that look like, that row of week by week by week syrups? What is that? How did that fall out? What do you have the most of for this year?
If I'm remembering correctly, we have the most amber out of all of the grades. We had a decent amount of all of it, but I think amber kind of trumped everything else.
Yeah. Okay. Great. And it as far as local products, you have made a change. You contacted us recently about doing a local corner on your website. Can you talk a little bit about that diversification in your product lineup?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I said, we're kind of making a shift right now to more online sales. And a big part of what we do is working with local businesses like Farmer Street Pantry. And so we got thinking, well, why don't we add those products to our website as well, kind of as a thank you to you guys for working with us and to get those products involved as well. So we're adding your stuff and hopefully a little bit more to come. And there's a couple of other, I have a maple balsamic vinegar that I added the other day. We're going to be adding a hot sauce and even some maple soap. I'm excited about that.
Maple soap. Wow. I can smell it right now. Have to actually tell people not to eat it.
Yeah, it might not taste so good. That's a cool thing I was going to mention because they made it with what we call sugar sand, which is a byproduct of the boiling process that we would normally discard. So it's even cooler that they were able to make something out of that.
Wow. So it can be like a scrub.
I don't see why not. We haven't done that yet, but right now it's like a hand soap.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. I can't wait to see that. Well, thank you so much, Christy, for visiting with us today and getting us caught up in everything that's going on. If the audience is interested, we have a recipe that Christy provided for Dutch Hill maple walnut pancakes, and I have that. If you're interested in getting that, I can email that to you. We'll have it as part of our newsletter as well. So if you go to farmerstreetpantry.com, you can get that. You can also email me, lynn@farmerstreetpantry.com, and I'll be happy to send that to you as well. So Christy, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Best of luck, and best of luck. You're expecting, and October will be a very busy month for you. So, so hopefully the summer won't be too hot. But really appreciate you coming. I know you're so busy. So we will.
Thank you very much, Lynn.
You're welcome, and I hope to see you out and about sometime this fall.
We hope so.
Okay. All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is Lynn from Farmer Street Pantry for Food Talk Live. Please visit us next week, again, Thursdays at 12:30 for our next episode. So be well and see you then.